Nancy Marriott, and I'm here this evening talking with Dr. Rajiv Parti, who is a physician who's had a very unusual experience that he'd like to talk about and let you all know about. So, Dr. Parti, thank you for being here.
It's my honor and pleasure.
Yes, and tell us a little bit about your background as a physician.
You know, I was born and raised in India, and I did my basic medical training in Delhi University, you know, the graduate part of the medical school. For higher training, I came to the United States. It was October of 1982. After I passed the basic exams, I did residency in anesthesiology at Nashville, Vanderbilt University, Nashville, Tennessee, and where my actual daughter was born too. So I always had that connection with Nashville, Tennessee.
All right.
And then I moved to California because my sister was here, and I went to Bakersfield to do 2 weeks of temporary job. And it's 25 years, and I'm still here. Wow.
Well, you had attained quite a high level at that hospital.
I started as a staff anesthesiologist, but gradually, because of my work and leadership qualities, my last position was Chief of Anesthesia at Bakersfield Heart Hospital. I specialized in anesthesia for the heart surgeries.
Yes.
That was my passion, and I was very good at it.
Yes. What was your lifestyle like? I mean, it sounds like you were the traditional doctor, successful, and were you in the paradigm of traditional Western medicine?
Yeah, I was in traditional Western materialistic medicine. My lifestyle was very materialistic. You know, like people talk about American dream. I came to this country only with $500, but now my American dream became a runaway American dream. It was always a big house, big car, and what next, what next? Like I talk with my wife sometimes, you know, like my religion was materialism and my God was the mighty dollar.
Wow, that's quite a flip coming from your background in Indian culture.
Exactly.
So you rose to the top of the Western materialistic paradigm. You embraced Western medicine fully, it sounds like. And then things started to change for you. You had a wrist injury.
I had a wrist injury, and first wrist injury is what started opening up my eyes to non-traditional, non-materialistic medicine. Because in my wrist injury, I had very chronic pain in my wrist. My hand used to get very cold and very painful. So I had an option of being on pain medicines or look for other alternatives. And one of the alternatives I really felt very good for me was meditation. And with meditation, I was able to control the temperature of my hand. And I was able to raise my temperature by 2 to 3 degrees, and that would decrease my pain. And then I went to a workshop with Dr. Brian Weiss. He's a modern psychiatrist from Florida who has pioneered past life regression. And I went to his workshop not expecting anything major, but just for curiosity. And then I regressed to a previous life. In a medieval time, I was a prince, but I was a cruel prince. I saw myself holding a whip in my hand and having my poor farmers being whipped by soldiers and me doing the same thing.
Wow.
And they were in poor, brown, tattered clothes. And then I asked forgiveness from those farmers, and they forgave me. And my hand got better within 2 weeks, and I went back to work. I was not able to work for a full 6 months before that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did this, this must have kind of shook you up, because this is not how traditional Western medicine operates.
It shook me up, but at the same time I said maybe it was a coincidence or not, because, you know, spiritual things were not in my equation in my life that time.
Yes.
Whether they existed or they didn't exist was not a big factor in my life that time.
And then something happened to you that changed all of that.
Oh yeah.
So you had another diagnosis.
I had a prostate cancer diagnosis, which became a complications. So about 3 years ago, I had an experience of a near-death experience they call NDE, which transformed me totally to my core. What I ate, what I wore, what I drove, where I worked, how my reaction to my wife was, how my reaction to my kids was, everything changed.
Wow. So Tell us a little bit how it was before you had this near-death experience.
Previously, as I mentioned, like
Yeah.
it was very stressful life for me professionally.
Mhm.
I used to get up at 6 o'clock to go to the work.
Yes.
And I remember driving myself in the morning. I would be with one hand eating a sandwich, with my another hand I will be drinking coffee.
Mhm.
I'll be talking to the nurse, talking to my broker, and now you can imagine I was driving too.
With your feet?
I know. I wondered too, how was I driving?
Ah.
That was multitasking to the
Yes.
extreme. And then I was building a new house every 3-4 years. My last house was a 10,000 square foot house on a golf course and a lake. It was a huge house. So much so to communicate inside the house with my kids, whether they're home or not, we used to use iPhones.
Yeah. Wow.
And we even had a home theater, me and my wife are Bollywood fans. It was 16-seater home theater which was built in 1920s cinema hall with red satin curtains. Wow. And we even had an antique popcorn machine from the
Wow.
eBay. We got that. So it was materialism to the nth level.
So then you got cancer.
Then I got cancer.
And you had some problems for 2 years. You had multiple surgeries. You suffered from incontinence, depression, chronic pain,
and
and
then
addiction to pain medication.
Yeah, I used to write these prescriptions myself, but unfortunately, when they were written for me, I personally became dependent and then ultimately addicted to them. As if I was not taking my pain medicine, I was starting to have craving,
Yes.
which was very, very painful.
Yes. So finally you had the 7th surgery over a 2-year period.
Yeah, I had the
Is that
7th surgery, which was to correct the incontinence.
Yes.
The incontinence surgery became infected, post-surgical infection I developed. I developed a fever of 105. It was sepsis. Sepsis is a very severe infection, life-threatening. And then they had to do emergency surgery on me. And during the emergency surgery, from the stress or for whatever reason, my consciousness separated from my body. Initially, I had an out-of-body experience. I saw myself floating in the operating room and seeing the surgery. And I even heard the anesthesiologist tell a joke, which he verified later. And from there, I went to different realms. And originally, I went to hell, then I went through a tunnel, and then ultimately I went to heaven. And this all transformed me, and my life after that was not the same, totally different.
Yeah. Tell us what happened when you went from the hell to the heaven realm.
Okay, when I went through the hell to the heaven realm, first of all, my father had shown up, and he, like a little boy, shepherded me towards a tunnel. And in that tunnel, I had a review of my past lives and my present lives.
What?
And the past lives were the same lives which I just mentioned to you, but there was an additional past life. Apart from being a prince in the medieval times, I saw myself as a poppy farmer in Afghanistan about 200 years ago. And then I got addicted to the sap, for the opium sap. And so I realized that so many of my tendencies in this life are residual from the previous life.
Wow.
Especially addiction and being cruel to the people below me and being mean to the people.
Yes.
And from there, when I was in the presence of the light being, it was like 1,000 suns at the same time. But it was very soothing. It was very calm. There was love all around, unconditional love. Like all my 5 senses were soaked with love. I could literally hear love, see love, taste love, touch love, and love was everywhere.
Wow. Part of your experience was a blue light.
It was a bluish white swirling light. I could feel the presence of a being there, a supreme being, which is formless but all powerful, all knowing, supreme intelligence, supreme unconditional love.
And then you were met by angels.
Actually I was met by angels before that.
Oh.
The angels are the, Raphael and Michael. They're the one who guided me towards the light. They were shepherding me towards the light.
No.
They were my guardians there.
Did you believe in angels before?
Oh no, even my wife kiddingly remarked and said, what happened to the thousands of Indian gods? None of them showed up.
Yeah, there aren't angels in the Hindu religion, and
No.
you're a Hindu.
Yeah,
so
and we have thousands of gods. We have God for village, God for family, God for country, God for the state, but no angels as such.
No angels. So what did the angels or the blue light, what did they tell, what was the message?
The message for me from angels and mainly from the blue light was that my life will be spared. I'll be having to go back to the earth, but I'll be leading a totally different life. I'll be more religious, more spiritual, and my life will be of service now, of sharing. Enough of grabbing, of trying to get ahead, but now it will be how can I serve, how can I share, how can I give.
And the path to this was through forgiveness.
Yeah, actually my study of a book, Course in Miracles, and the experience I had in the other realm, I came to a mantra, a beautiful mantra, which can be used by anybody, which I have used myself. Forgive, love, and heal. And forgiveness starts at the personal level, and then it goes to your circumstances. In my own personal case, I was so upset at God. I was mad at God that I, quote unquote, I had to forgive God.
For your
Circumstances.
And your
yeah,
circumstances.
I said, why me? Why
suffering?
my life was going so smooth. It was materialistic, but that was actually the wake-up call. Now, looking back, I'm very thankful for that experience. It transformed me.
Yes.
I am a different human being now. I feel more joy, more deep joy, more deep fulfillment.
So before this experience, you weren't familiar with the Course in Miracles. You'd never heard of it before.
Oh no, not at all. Especially coming from a Hindu background, I had no idea about it. When these words flashed in the sky, Course in Miracles, I had no idea.
So you saw it in your NDE. You saw the words, A Course in Miracles. And you'd never heard of it before. You had to
never
Google
heard about it. I had to Google it. When I was in this realm, I Googled it. Then I read about Mariam Williamson, who popularized it. And then it was a course which was a textbook, a metaphysical textbook, which was dictated by Jesus to a psychologist in New York, Columbia Presbyterian, Helen Schumann.
Yes, doctor, by the way.
Yeah, doctor.
And she was assisted by a doctor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a beautiful book, a beautiful course.
Yeah.
I love it now.
Yeah. It's all about forgiveness.
Forgiveness, love, and healing.
Yes. So tell me about how forgiveness works. How do we forgive ourselves or anyone and heal our bodies? Because forgiveness is the mind and the heart, and then the body is the body. So
like forgiveness, actually the modern science is proving too that forgiveness works. Because by forgiving your own self, you reduce your stress level. Forgiving other, you reduce your stress level and bring joy to your life. And this can be measured. Like the chemistry of the blood changes. When you forgive somebody, the stress hormones, epinephrine, non-epinephrine, cortisol, they go down. And the happy hormones, DHEA, prolactin, oxytocin, not oxycontin, that's a narcotic.
Painkiller.
Yeah, oxytocin, and then serotonin and dopamine, they go up. So even the modern science is proving that forgiveness is healing.
Wow.
And it heals the soul. That's the most important. You let go of any resentment, you let go of any anger. And it's not condoning somebody, it's not reconciliation, but it's letting go of the anger, the negativity.
Yes. So that happened to you.
Yeah.
As a result of your near-death experience.
Yes, like in my especially, I had to forgive myself for anything I might have done. For example, I held myself responsible for becoming dependent and addicted to the pain medicines. Like I should have known better. And then I was mad at God. Why me? Why did he or she had to mess up my perfect, quote-unquote, perfect life? But I realized that was a blessing. But till I realized that was a blessing, was very angry and very resentful of my circumstances.
Dr. Parti, when you came out of this surgery in which you had your near-death experience, tell me, what were you healed? I got the transformation, but what about your various difficulties? Did you heal from that?
After the surgery, I healed at different levels. First of all, my addiction. Overnight, my addiction was gone. which surprised me, my doctors and my friends and my family. And then my depression gradually got off, and I'm happy to say I'm on no antidepressants right now. And even my chronic pelvic pain got better. And apart from this physical wellness, mentally and spiritually I got better. So I even wrote a book, The Soul of Wellness, which talks about healing at the 4 levels: physical, mental, social and spiritual.
So do people have to have a near-death experience in order to...
Oh, no. Near-death experience was a transformative catalyst for me. But following my formula of forgiveness, loving and healing, which is accessible to everybody now, they can have the same benefits and heal at all the 4 levels I just mentioned: physical, mental, social and spiritual.
And so what you're saying is that as people forgive themselves on these levels, they can cure diseases.
Oh yeah. Especially they say cancer is a resentment, is emotion which is stuck, because that decreases the immunity, and that's how the cancer cells are able to
It's true, yes.
thrive.
Yeah. We all have cancer in our bodies, but if we have a strong immunity, we don't succumb to the disease.
Exactly, you're 100% right.
So it's important to have that immunity, and forgiveness is connected to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Immunity, meditation, stress-free life, be in nature, be in service of God.
Yes. And so your first book, Love, Forgive, and Heal, tells people how they can do this. Do you bring in your Ayurvedic background? And
I bring in Ayurvedic way, which is a 5,000-year-old Indian system of healing. It's a consciousness-based system based on nature.
When you say consciousness-based, so, you know, in the Western paradigm, we have the mind and the body, and they're forever divided.
Yeah,
but
I'm a product of the Western world.
Yes.
And they talk about the mind being a product, a chemical reaction, electrical reaction of the brain, and consciousness being a part of the mind. But in Ayurvedic, Eastern traditions, consciousness exists independent of the brain, and that's what my experience was. Otherwise, how could I have had an out-of-body experience?
And how could you have had a near-death experience that transformed your entire life?
Yep.
I mean, if it were hallucination or just a dream, it would not have had such an impact. And I think it's fascinating that you say consciousness is not a product of the body, but an independent experience. This is very radical for the Western
It is, but
philosophy.
it's becoming more and more acceptable right now. And even quantum physics to some extent is proving that, non-locality.
Non-local phenomenon. Very interesting. So anything you'd like to say to people as a completion here about consciousness and healing?
My only thing would be to have faith in yourself, have faith in the divine, and forgive, love and heal. And actually I go further and say, forgive easily, love passionately, and heal quickly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Parti.
Thank you, it was my pleasure.